All right, hey guys, I'm at a hostel, so you might hear some background noises, but we'll see how it goes. It's pretty early here. It's only 8:30 a.m., so it's only starting to pick up now, but there's some people around, there's a kitchen nearby. So we'll see how it goes. But here we got our quotes today. Siddhartha. This first quote is from a book called Siddhartha. It's one of my favorite books, kind of a half biography of half yeah, kind of fictional biography of the Buddha. But he says in this one, he who can think, wait, and fast can do anything. It's the concept. He's asked, like, he goes to this businessman, the bug, trying to get rid of him. Bah, bah, bah. So there's let me start over. Hey guys, so I'm at a hostel today, traveling, coming back to the States. I've been in Mexico for a little bit, did a Vipassana meditation retreat. I want to keep this going. So we have our fasting quotes today. So, but anyway, if there's noises in the background, have a little patience and forgiveness for that. So we have our fasting quotes for today. This first one is from a book called Siddhartha. It's one of my favorite books. It's like kind of a fictional half biography of the Buddha's life with a lot of philosophy in it. And one of the things is Siddhartha, who's kind of a representation of Buddha-ish, although Siddhartha meets Buddha in the story. And but he's a very like highly disciplined and practiced meditationer and meditator. And anyway, what he's practiced in his life, he can think, he can wait, and he can fast. And that's what allows him to have such strength and is able to achieve things. And he comes to this town, and there's a rich person, and he's trying to get a job with him. And the guy says, "Well, what can you do?" And Siddhartha's not trained in anything but meditating. And he's like, "Well, I can think, wait, and fast." And the sentiment from the book is that he who can wait, who can think, wait, and fast can do anything. And then we have a quote from Mark Twain: "A little starvation can do more than the best medicine." And so, what are some of these benefits? They are endless, endless benefits. So number one, most obvious, people often fast to lose weight. And when we're in our healthy weight zone, we are just healthier. There are so many less complications, better heart health, better blood pressure, longer life, less likely of all different diseases and problems. One of the main things is when you're fasting, your body takes care of the visceral fats, like almost a lot more, higher percentage of the visceral fats. One study showed something like when people are losing weight, 70% of the fat loss is the visceral fat, which is all of that extra fat around your organs and has been linked to lots of different cancers, especially colon and breast cancer. It's been linked to a lot of extra inflammation. It's been linked to type 2 diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver diseases, and high blood pressures and cardiovascular diseases. And so it's really fantastic to get rid of that stuff. It's also stem cells are activated after 72 hours, about 48, 72 hours. And that happens, theory is because of autophagy. And autophagy is when the body's cleaning out old cells. So old cells will be removed, deleted, cleaned up, and then we want to replace those cells so the stem cells are then released, they're created to then create to kind of replace those old ones with new ones. Then we have the human growth hormones, and you only need to fast for 24 hours to get the benefit of the human growth hormones. And it's been shown to increase the human growth hormones by 5 to 14x. And that actually depends on if you're already like kind of depleted or low in your human growth hormones, it'll show extra increase of those in your body. If you already have a healthy amount, it'll increase less. And human growth hormones are important for regulating insulin, regulating like fat growth. It also protects the muscles while you're fasting. And when you start refeeding and stuff, that extra human growth hormones goes towards building like every organ and every tissue is affected and improved and strengthened. But it's very much affecting the cartilage and the bone health. So that's just a really great benefit of fasting. There's a gut biome reset. So after you're fasting, you're kind of resetting your gut system. And so a lot of the bad bacteria will be dying and a lot of the good bacteria will be dying. or passing because they don't have food now to feed on. And so that does two things. It allows you to reset. So when you start refeeding, super important, like the most important part of fasting is when you start eating again. And so when you do that, you want to introduce really good whole foods. So that no sugar, no processed foods, whole foods and whole meats. And then you'll be able to reset only promoting the healthy bacteria, the good bacteria in the regrowth. Um, the other thing is that your appendix is there with a backlog of your gut biome. And so that's then reintroducing all of the ones that your body wants to have. So it's a really nice gut biome reset. It also strengthens your immune system. Even outside of the visceral fat troubles of diabetes, if you have diabetes, this helps remove that. It reduces insulin sensitivity. It reduces and removes high blood pressure, hypertension. It removes excess sodium in our current Western diet. There's a lot of extra salt, extra sodium that's in everything that we eat. And so most people have too much sodium in their system. So when you're fasting, that extra sodium is removed very easily. Very cancer preventative fasting, the process of autophagy, which is the body cleansing itself, kind of taking out the garbage, taking out the trash. That helps prevent rogue cells that are then the start of cancers. The autophagy cleans them out. And autophagy is kind of starting really intensely, 48 to 72 hours. And so having a 3 day fast is really good for that. And 4 and 5 days, you really get the benefits of that autophagy. It also helps remove the cancers. When there's already a tumor in there, the cancer will be like the fasting. The body knows to take care of tumors, before it takes care of other things. It knows what's good for it. It knows what's bad for it. And there's been a lot of studies that showed fasting alongside chemo has reduced the effects of chemo and has increased the effects of the reduction of the tumors and the removal of the cancer. There's a lot of other diseases that it helps prevent. There's a really cool thing called the BDNF, which is a brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Words I don't understand, but this is something that is produced for the brain, and it helps the brain, helps the neurons in there, and it's also been shown to protect against neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And also fasting has been shown to increase your lifespan in a healthy way. And now we have some fun stories. There's lots and lots of stories of people who have gone on a fast and have been told that they will never be cured. The doctors, the hospitals, they've gone all over the place for years and years, and whatever problem they have has been told it's incurable. And then they fast for 20 to 40 days and they're cured and they never need medicine again. So there's been a really cool, larger scale Europeans fasting clinics that's been shown across many different clinics in Europe that have shown the results for arthritis and rheumatism. So medication and pain, as well as increased joint mobility, like reduced medication, reduced pain, and then showing more joint mobility and not needing medications anymore. This is after they fast for 2 weeks, twice a year. And then a more specific example was there was a woman who had these severe and constant headaches and migraines for most of her life, and she'd been going to doctors for years and years and years, and no one's been able to help. And then she went on a 40-day fast at a clinic, and it reduced her headaches and made them very minimal and less frequent. But then she wanted to remove it completely. Well, the doctor recommended come back again in a year. We'll do another 40-day fast, did another 40-day fast, and then headache free, no migraines, no headaches, no symptoms at all for 12 years later and continuing. And then another story at a different clinic, a woman in her 40s. She had pancreatic damage, type 2 diabetes, joint pain, eczema, insomnia, anxiety, a lot of different things. She does consistent fasting, not one long-term fast, but she just does consistent fasting, 24 hours a week. And she also does like 1 day a week, basically fasting completely, water fasting. And then also 1 day a week, she does tea and bone broth. And so every week she's kind of fasting for 2 days a week. And in doing that, her pancreas is healed. She has no more diabetes. She lost weight back to a normal, healthy weight. There's no more pain, no pain in her joints. and there's no more eczema, and she's full of energy. And what she says is that her brain has the clarity it never had before, and she's been working on a business in the background. She used to be so weak in her story, where she couldn't, she couldn't work out, she couldn't exercise, she was always tired. She had this business of selling herbal supplements, herbal teas, and she wasn't really able to work on it. And now she's able to have full energy for her business. And she also goes to shows and she's able to set up the equipment. She's able to lift 25 pounds over her head. And it's just all because of the fasting. And then also healthy diets in between. We can't be fasting and then also eating, fast food, junk food, processed foods all the time. We have to have a healthy diet to kind of accent our fasting. And then another story about a middle-aged man who had hypertension, chronic bronchitis, angina, which is like heart problems and chest pains, painful knees, lower back, aching fingers and toes, and it's been bothering him for a long time. He did an 18-day fast, a water fast, and then pain in the knees, the lower back, the fingers, the pain everywhere. It's all gone. The hypertension is down, and he'd been off the medication for his high blood pressure and the angina, where just all of those problems after an 18-day fast and refeeding and eating well, boom, no more health problems. So these are just a bunch of stories about that. It can also help. Fasting has been seen to help with addictions. And this is just a little anecdote I found on Reddit. And I'll just read it out. This guy is 12 years sober, and fasting's been one of the most empowering exercises and experiences that he's found in the sobriety, not to mention the spiritual connection that comes from it after a 3 or 4 day water fast, autophagy, and new stem cells, neuroplasticity, all real, can positively impact healing of addiction and related damage. Do the work to get the core of the emotional trauma that leads to the abuse and fasting. It becomes a beautiful way to heal. So it's helping him both mentally, physically, and like spiritually. And fasting heals the body, but it also creates space for beautiful, deeper spiritual connection that can help heal the emotional traumas that cause the need for abuse and addiction to begin with. And so that's just kind of like beyond the physical level. It's also helping at the mental, emotional, and spiritual level, which is aiding a lot of people in their addictions. And after a fast, they're able to remove themselves from the addiction. So let's fast. Let's make our own healing stories.